iTem is an item bank developed and owned by the Maryland State Department of Education. You access the central secure content bank by pointing your browser at itempra.org/md. Prior to the Remote Range Finding Committee meeting, you should have returned your non-disclosure agreement and received an email from content@itempra.org with your item bank username and an initial password. Use that to sign into iTempra. When you sign in for the first time, the system will require you to change your password. We can't retrieve your password, so please write it down in a safe place. Before the meeting begins and sometimes during off hours, you can expect to receive a message that no range finding is available. You cannot sign into a range finding meeting until that content has been made available. When a range finding meeting is available for you, the system will take you straight to that meeting. During the virtual range finding meeting, you will review and score actual student responses from several different constructed response questions. The preloaded responses from the first of those questions will be shown right after you sign in. To make the discussion go more smoothly, facilitators often put the different responses into sets or subsets. Set names are listed to the left of the responses. Papers in the grounding set in particular will be used at the meeting as a basis for scoring the remaining responses for each question. Student responses for each question are referred to by a sequence number, shown in the left column. To the right of the response is a column labeled Consensus. The score in this column refers to the most recently recorded consensus score for each response. This consensus is reached by the committee as a whole, in discussion with the facilitator, after each range finding participant scores the paper independently. To the right of the consensus score is a column labeled My Score. This is the most recent score you assigned to the response following your independent reading of the response. Each participant will see only their own scores in this column. The facilitator may discuss each paper one at a time after all participants have posted a score, or the facilitator may work with papers in groups of 3, 5, or some other number the committee feels comfortable with. The final column is labeled, My Last Comment. Here you will see the first few words of the most recent comment you entered. The number refers to the total number of comments that have been entered for that response from all range finding participants. The text will be shown only if you posted a comment yourself. You can view all comments from all participants, as well as the scores they have entered, by selecting the text the student typed in. This text is actually a link. When you select the link, a new panel opens up below the summary of the paper. Here you can view the entire response. This is also where you can enter your score for the response or post a comment. To see everyone's score so far, select the Load All link. To enter a score of your own, use the Select Score button and choose a score from the list. Then make absolutely sure you hit the Submit button and notice that the My Score column in the table changes to either Added or Updated. Post a comment on this paper by typing it into the new comment box and again, hitting the Submit button. Notice that since you entered the comment, the text of your comment, not just the count, is updated in the main table. Note that it is a good practice to refresh the screen after a few updates on your part, just to make sure your scoring and comments took hold. The page is not updated when you submit a score or comment, so please get into the practice of using the browser's refresh function on a regular basis during the meeting. Your facilitator may request that you use a specific style for comments. Your comments are seen by the facilitator to inform the virtual discussion and possibly by other reviewers. If your facilitator made others' comments available, you can see them all by selecting the Load All Comments link in the discussion column. You will notice some selector links at the right. You can use these to limit the list of papers to just certain responses, such as those papers the facilitator has put into the grounding set. Just select the link to limit the list, or limit the list to responses that received a specific consensus score. This can be useful when comparing papers during the range finding meeting. You can select as many links as you want, but be sure to refresh the screen regularly to keep this list updated with the latest scores from the database. In addition, you can include papers on which you issued a certain score. The selections are additive, so papers will show up in the list if they meet any one of the selection criteria. Under the plus menu at the top of the screen, you can select from a list of questions that have been assigned to your committee for this range finding. You can also see the question, the rubric, and any notes your facilitator may have entered by selecting View Question from the plus menu. This opens up a new tab in your browser. The tab stimuli are shown at the left. The question and scoring rubric are shown in separate tabs on the right. In addition, a tab called RF Easel at the right may contain any notes your facilitator enters before or during the discussion. Depending on how your committee decides to use this easel, it can substitute for having the big post-it on the walls or on an easel at an in-person meeting. The View Question link opens up a new tab in your browser. You can close this tab with the little X in the upper right corner. You can read more about iTem by accessing the links under the question mark menu. Finally, although the system will log you out automatically after 1 hour of inactivity, please sign out explicitly whenever you leave your computer. We thank you for helping us ensure that students receive the scores they earn on our tests, and want to stress once more, the security of this content is paramount. Please do not download it or print it, and make sure you are working in a private space whenever content is displayed on your screen. With iTem, please take reasonable care to keep your password secure.